is round 2 of a tournament that we had at Portland Game Store in Portland, Oregon. It was a 15-person tournament, 4-round Swiss. At the top of the screen is Steve playing a druid deck, and at the bottom of the screen is a relatively new player in our area, Nick, playing Death Speaker. So for this tournament, we also did do second player Seer rules. Second player Seer is a pretty popular tournament rule that is being used in kind of like the online competitive leagues, and it is sometimes used in physical tournaments. It's gaining popularity. Our players seem to like it, so we've been going with it. Turn 1, Death Speaker playing out a River of Flame, passing turn. Druid, turn 1, we have a desert, can't make use of the Genesis, but summons Tawny. Turn 2 for Death Speaker, drawing a spell for turn. Looks like you drew Nimbus Djinn, so no help there. That's going to be a dead card until he can get into kind of mid to late game. Turn 2, though, plays a Geistwood. Not a bad positioning location, I guess, for the Geistwood, with a Death Speaker deck, getting that central into the field. Geistwood essentially allowing a lot of the Genesis minions in the Death Speaker deck to be allowed to double dip if needed. Steve playing out a Funeral Pyre for his second sight, opting not to hold it in reserve against Death Speaker. 2 mana for a Warhorse charging onto the Geistwood for 2 points of damage in. Passing turn back to Nick. Turn 3, Nick is drawing a sight for turn. Looks like he drew into an Observatory. So unless he needs a double mana, or unless he needs a double fire threshold for some reason, maybe play out the Observatory this turn and kind of set his next 3 spells. Yeah, so he's gonna play out an Observatory, look at his top 3 spells from his spellbook, and then rearrange them in any order that he wants. And unfortunately, it looks like he's doing that off out of frame, so we can't see what he chose. But hopefully that helps him out a little bit here. 3 mana in his mana pool for turn. He's got a Warhorse staring down at him. Casts Magic Missiles for 2 mana. 2 points to the Warhorse, 1 for Tawny. A pretty good play. Clears out the board and gets rid of the owl, forces Steve to have to resummon the owl again. Turn 3, we see another desert from Steve. 3 mana for a Colicky. Passing turn, end of turn, it'll ping Death Speaker for 1 point of damage. Nick drawing a spell for turn. Can't quite see what that is. Maybe it was the Disintegrate? He's got 1 sight in his hand, so he can tap to play out a sight. Playing a sight will give him 4 mana for turn. I think his sight was a Funeral Pyre. It's not going to be much help for him against this matchup. Steve's deck, it shouldn't have any recursion into it. So there's the Funeral Pyre going out. 4 mana for turn. It looks like he has a Morgana Le Fay in his hand. He's eyeing that, but he does not have the threshold requirements to play it out, unfortunately. See if he has any other plays in his hand. One for a summoning sphere to create a landing zone in Steve's back row, and unfortunately doesn't have any other plays to make for turn 4, so passes turn back. So Steve has a minimum of 4 points of damage coming in, probably 5 points of damage with the colicky projectile at end of turn. Tapping for a bonfire. Tapping for a bonfire, give him 4 mana for turn. I see a Taurus Hammer trinket in his hand. There comes out the Taurus Hammer. So he's pushing in 4 points of damage with the colicky Dragonette. And there's a second Taurus Hammer. He's got 2 Taurus Hammers in his hand, so they're going to push in 2 more damage from Tawny. That is 6 points so far this turn, and then 1 additional ping at end of turn with the Dragonette, so 7 points of damage for that turn. And passing turn, Taurus Hammers bounce back to Steve's hand. Steve in a pretty dangerous position here. We just saw you can do 7 points of damage if uncontested per turn, so unless Nick can stabilize on this turn, he is looking at another 7 points in. He drew a sight for turn. I assume he drew that sight because he was fishing for Threshold for Morgana. Which, I mean, unfortunately, I think Morgana is a little too slow to help him stabilize in this game. He's eyeing putting that in play, and I guess that's his play. He's going to play Morgana. Morgana is summoned to Steve's Funeral Pyre via the Summoning Sphere. Draws her hand of 3 spells. He's got 2 mana left for turn. Unfortunately, it does not look like Morgana might not have a 2. Or he does have a 2. Morgana has a 2 cost spell, so he's going to have Morgana cast out via Lamp for 2 mana. Ping out the Owl. Morgana's stealth will drop. That should be all 5 mana in his mana pool. And he's gonna pass turn. So at the very least, Nick has a blocker on the next turn here. To combat the Colicky Dragonette. He could block and trade potentially with the Dragonette with Morgana, but that's probably a bad play. I saw in Morgana's hand he also is holding a Dapperel Vampire. If Morgana lives for another turn, the Vampire is going to come out, and the Vampire will be very beneficial for Nick and help him stabilize the board with those 4-point life swings. Steve playing out an Arid Desert. Probably pinging the site with Morgana for a point of damage. I think it's very unlikely that Steve doesn't have an answer to be able to take care of Morgana this turn. Tawny resummons. He's doing a reposition real quick on that desert. So moving where that desert is being summoned to. 5 mana for turn in Steve's mana pool. Five mana. You got 4 cards. 2 of them are Taurus Hammers. I don't know. I think that's a Minor Explosion in his hand. So he could play a Minor Explosion to just remove Morgana and then attack in with the Dragonettes and force a block. That's probably what he's going to end up doing here. Yeah, 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Minor Explosion to, 3 for the Dragonette. 3 for the Table Morgana, remove her from the board. Morgana's hand gets discarded. Unfortunately, Nick's not going to be able to get that vampire. 2 mana left for turn. Pumping the Dragonette for 2 with the Torse Hammers. He's attacking Geistwood. I think it would probably be more beneficial for Steve if he chose a different site, either the Funeral Pyres or down on the River of Flame, to reposition the Dragonette, and then also to prevent the Violent from dying on Geistwood if it chooses to block. So, as it is right now, Nick is blocking with the Violent, so it's going to deal 2 points of damage on the defend to the Dragonettes, and then when it dies on Geistwood, the Genesis acts as a Deathrite and triggers and deals an additional 2 points. Fortunately, Steve had the trinkets, so it's not enough to kill the Colicky. However, I think he could have avoided taking that additional 2 from the Deathrite by just choosing a different site as the attack target. End of turn, the Dragonettes shoot their projectile, ping the speaker for 1 more point of damage. So Nick starting his turn here now. And he's in a bit of a bind. Just because we know there's 2 Torse Hammers in Steve's hand, and we've already done the math on having an uncontested Colicky and an Owl on board with that, so that's 9 points of damage in per turn, or excuse me, 7 points of damage in per turn. He's thinking long and hard about this. I do see there's a banish in his hand, so I mean, I would be surprised if we don't see a banish on the Colicky. I think he was debating on what to draw there. He drew a sight. I don't know why he drew a sight instead of a spell. I don't know what he's fishing for there. Maybe at that point he felt like he had to get his mana pool up in order to cast the Nimbus Gen. But I think it probably would have been, well, I mean, without knowing what's in his deck, I think it probably would have been better to fish for an answer out of the spellbook. He's recasting Violent using the Speaker ability to do 2 points of damage. I think they're getting confused here. So they think that when you recast the minion using the Death Speaker ability, it comes in and then it dies. And then if it died on Geistwood, it would proc the Deathrite again. And that is not exactly how that interaction works. When Death Speaker resummons it, the minion enters, the Genesis would proc, and then the minion banishes. So because it banishes and doesn't die in the cemetery again, it would not trigger a Deathrite. So that was just an incorrect interpretation of those specific rules for the Death Speaker, unfortunately, and that's going to cost Steve his Colicky. But that's how they chose to play that, and looks like he played out a Ruin for the turn. It leaves him with 4 mana for the turn, but again, he only got 2 cards in his hand, and he can't make use of them yet. What were those cards? A Nimbus Gen and a Banish. Steve, 4 for Saracen, attacking in for 3. Tawny with the Trinket for 2 more, 5 total. It takes the Death Speaker down to 4 health, tapping the Druid for a sight. So Steve erring on the side of caution, grabbing a sight with the Druid instead of, say, walking up to get into a better position for an in-game kill here with the Druid flip, which is perfectly fine. Having a sight in hand allows you to be able to recast Tawny, which can be beneficial if you need the positioning with Spellcaster, if you want to play it safe and not have to use the flip ability on the Druid. Nick looks like he drew into an Apprentice Wizard. He's going to go ahead and cast the Apprentice Wizard onto Geistwood. Apprentice Wizard drew him a Death Dealer, which is a pretty good card to draw into if he is kind of on the back foot and having to stabilize here. He used the Disintegrate to take care of the Saracen and passing turn. Steve, I think he's got a minimum of 3 points he can push in here. He's got 2 Torse Hammers in his hand with the Tawny on board. So 3 points. He just needs 1 more point of damage in somewhere in order to bring the Death Speaker to Death's Door, which would be ideal if he could door him on this turn. Every time you bring someone to the door, it puts a lot of pressure on them. Instead, he's going to play out the desert. I don't know if there's really a huge advantage to doing that versus keeping it in his hand. Brings his mana pool to 6. He might just be thinking, he might as well play it out to increase the mana pool just in case he needs that for any future turns to be able to triple cast spells. He's got a Grim Gusarme in his hand, which, if he played on Tawny, could door Nick on this turn. So Gusarme doubles strikes, and then also doubles the damage taken. So 1 Gusarme and 1 Torse Hammer would be enough to do 4 points in to take up the door on this turn. But I think Steve's a little leery of casting it onto Tawny. Tawny is a real soft target, and then he's so far back into Nick's territory that the Gusarme would drop, giving Nick an opportunity to pick it up. So he's playing it a little cautious here, instead just playing his 2 Torse Hammers, tacking in for 3, and then giving Nick another turn here. Nick drawing a spell for turn. He looks like he drew into a Grapple Shot. Again, a good pick, a good card to draw into, and a card that again, like, would have been menacing if the Gusarme was being held by Tawny, just because you could grapple shot in using the Apprentice Wizard, or even the Death Speaker itself if he repositioned, killing Tawny, dropping the Gusarme, and then picking it up. He's got 6 mana for turn. I think he was looking into playing the Sight that he has in his hand. The Sight is Vesuvius, so he was looking into playing that. That would give him a mana pool of 7, which is needed, I think, for the Death Dealer. So I think that's what we're looking at here. Probably play Vesuvius. Play Death Speaker, nuke the board. Could attack in with the Wizard. Well, probably leave the wizard on Geistwood just to proc the Deathrite when it dies, to give him more cards. He's down to 2 cards here. He needs more cards in hand to stabilize this game. So yeah, Vesuvius down, playing the Death Dealer, drawing a card from Deathrite. Trying to... I think he was trying to recast the Apprentice Wizard using the Speaker ability. He thought that maybe... I think what happened is that he thought he was on Death's Door and could recast it for free, but then realized that he was still at 1 health, and so would have to pay the cost. So he stopped himself right before doing that. But Nick getting a good board clear out there, and then kind of getting a minion into place that is going to menace for kind of 4 points per turn to start putting some pressure back onto Steve. It looks like Steve drew into a I think that's a red cap, and he's still got that hand of Taurus Hammers and Grim Gusarme. Gusarme at this point in the game is not going to do Steve much good. Just the red cap's going to take Nick to door here at this point. Steve tapping the Druid for a spell. I think I would have chosen maybe to start moving the Druid up to be able to take advantage of that flip ability to help get Nick into a checkmate position here on Death's Door. I think Steve originally trying to cast the red caps and attack from Geistwood. I think I forgot for a second that was Nick's site, but they figured that out, and the red caps just instead attack summon to Steve's Funeral Pyre, attack in to the Geistwood for 3, and then threaten to attack the Death Speaker on next turn, unless Nick can come up with a blocker or move the Death Speaker. Recasting the wizard for free. And again, I think they still think that the recast, when it dies on Geistwood, procs the Deathrite again, which is not true. But that's how they're going to play the game. That's fine. He drew into a Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt will take care of the red caps. And he's the other card he drew looks like a Clamor of Harpies. 2 mana spent for the Lightning Bolt leaves him with 5. He's got a lot of mana. 4 mana to play Clamor of Harpies on the Geistwood, which is a good central position. It helps him screen projectiles just in case Steve has a Firebolt in the game here. And then passing turn, Nick probably should have attacked with the Death Dealer. I think that was just I think he just forgot about that piece on the board, but that's just an easy value and kind of timer for Steve here, just attacking him for 4. Steve playing out a Wizard's Den, resummoning Tawny. He probably wants Tawny to help with positioning, to be able to tag Nick here at this point. Let me see if I can see what's in Steve's hand now. He's got to play Morgana. Morgana is not a bad card to have for Steve at this point. It's kind of fishing, drawing 3 cards from Morgana, being able to fish for some kill spells to help end the game here. I couldn't see what was in that hand. It might have been a monstrous, I think it was a monstrous lion. Monstrous lion, and what are the other two cards? Infiltrate. He's got a lava flow. He's got both hands kind of bunched together, but I think the lava flow is in his main hand. He is... What is he doing here? Steve is attacking in with the lions to kill the clan of harpies. I think that's a play mistake. You can't do that. The harpies have airborne. Neither of them catch that though. So I think how they resolved that was the lions kill the harpies. Harpies Deathrite procs because it dies on Geistwood, and it pulls in Tawny and kills Tawny. So honestly, like, I think that does more damage than good to Steve here at the end game, just because he probably wanted Tawny in play. Nick, is that a Poison Nova? Drawing into a Poison Nova. He could take a step forward and clear board, removing the lion and Morgana. Morgana no longer having stealth now. He would just be real, like, he would be dangerously close at death's door to the druid at that point. So let's see if he has any other options. He's got a good amount of mana to work with here. Seven mana in his pool. He still has that Death Speaker or Death Dealer on board. I'm trying to see what else is in his hand here. He's got a grapple shot. He's got a grapple shot. He could grapple shot into the lion with the Death Dealer and then attack Morgana. That would be another way to clear board here, and also provide a screen. Well, I guess the Death Dealer, yeah, it would provide a screen on Steve's center side up there. Still holding Nimbus Gen. Choosing to play Nimbus Gen, which is an interesting play. And then discarding 2 to deal 6 points of damage to the lion, which is unfortunately a much less efficient line of play versus the grapple shot that I had just mused about here. But I think maybe Nick didn't see that. Nick didn't see that possibility at the time, which happens. Sometimes you don't see the plays in front of you when you're in the middle of the game. Remembering the Death Dealer this turn, attacking in for 4 points to Steve's Desert, moving the Death Speaker, and then passing turn. So, I mean, Nick has left Morgana on the board, which I think, like, if you can remove Morgana after she casts her first spell, it's probably in your best interest to remove her before the player can make use of the additional spells in hand. Just deny them those resources. Seems like a better move. So he's got a lot of spells. They both have a lot of spells at this point. They're kind of just doing a little song and dance here, trying to get that last Death's Door tag to end the game. And it's a shame that Nick couldn't hold on to the Nimbus Gen just a little bit longer, because there was a possibility there with the Summoning Sphere in play to be able to kind of land that on the Druid's head and then get a like kind of surprise Alpha Strike for a huge amount of damage by discarding cards. But I mean, like when you're on the back foot, you have to kind of clear board, remove threats, be defensive on Death's Door, and you don't always have the luxury, or you think you have the luxury to hold certain cards. Steve trying to round out this game. I mean, he's got that Disintegrate. He can disintegrate the Nimbus Gen, get rid of that threat. He's got an Infiltrate. He could infiltrate the Death Dealer. Instead, choosing to infiltrate the Nimbus Gen. I think that he chose the Nimbus Gen because it's another win condition for him. If it can chase down the Death Speaker avatar, then all he has to do is discard a card and deal 3 points of damage to it. He's moving Morgana onto the adjacent desert and then casting Disintegrate onto the Death Dealer, which I think is a mistake. And I think that Steve forgot again that the Death Speaker can just bring that back and wipe board, which is what just happened when he passed turn. So I think that was just an oversight that Steve made. He wasn't thinking about that, which is unfortunate. That gives Nick another opportunity here to stabilize the board. It is a shame that he lost the Death Dealer. Just a 4-power body on the board does put more pressure. Nick playing Mirror Realm and making a copy of Funeral Pyre. I think a Mirror Realm can target nearby. Actually, I forget if Mirror Realm is targets nearby or adjacent only. If it's nearby, I think it might have been a better choice to make a copy of the Wizard's Den, just to be able to draw another card to kind of help him stabilize and get him out of this hole here. 3 points for 3 mana for the red caps for 3 points of damage, attacking into the desert, and then playing Clamor of Harpies. Harpies played on the Funeral Pyre. I think just again defensively. He's got to have blockers. He's got to have screeners on his avatar at this point, just because the Druid has a lot of. I mean, if you're playing against Druid on Death's Door at this point, the Fire Druid, especially, you got to be worried about like fire bolts, projectile finishing the game. Steve tapping for a sight, bringing Tawny back. He's got a Boudica in hand. He's got a Lava Flow, and if he can get Tawny in, if he can chase down the Death Speaker and get into position, the Lava Flow is going to be a kill spell. Unfortunately, like, he just cast Tawny. He can't move with Tawny this turn. So Tawny's all the way in the corner here. Steve, no other plays can pass turn. So I'm gonna give Nick another turn to work with here. Nick drawing into another red cap. So we see 3 points in with the red cap already on board. Choosing to be aggressive here. 3 points in with the Harpies. And then 3 onto the red, with the red cap from his hand. Cast using the summoning sphere. So, doing a lot of damage here, getting Steve dangerously close to death's door. I mean, the druid still has some tricks here. Steve hasn't flipped yet. He can flip for Bruin, and he's still in a pretty good condition. He's still in a pretty good position, as long as he can get close enough with a kill spell. And there's a good amount of kill spells in the deck in fire. He just has to get in range of Death Speaker. Nick's Avatar all the way into the corner now. He's kind of run out of places to go. Steve just has to get there. Taking a look at what's in his hand. I mean, he's got a Boudica. Yeah, Steve choosing to flip. Yeah, flipping for Bruin. Moving with Tawny. And that's it for Steve. He's gonna pass board state as it is. Nick gets an untap on all those minions. He has enough power to take Steve to door on this turn. So I think we're gonna see that. We're gonna attack and attack. And then that'll take Steve to door. Unfortunately, the second red cap has to attack, and there's nowhere that it can attack that Bruin can't defend to kill it. Nick passing turn, and then they forgot about that red cap. It had to attack on the turn. Steve advancing with Tawny though, and then using that kill spell he's had in his hand for the past couple turns, Lava Flow, to deal the final point of damage to Death Speaker. So, a fun game to watch, despite the fact there were some rules that they kind of missed and didn't interpret entirely correctly. And then Steve just getting hung up there at the end on Death's Door, trying to get that final kill spell and attack vector. That was a good game for round 2, and we'll move on to round 3 of this tournament.